everybody. I am Katrina from Impact Trust and so many other promotions and things, and so I will not list that right now. But this is another edition to Behind the Magic Women of Color in Wrestling with some amazing women that work in wrestling doing many different things. And so I'm going to start over to this this side, and you guys can introduce yourselves to everybody and tell them what you do and where you work.
Okay, happy that's me. Well, my name is Shay Sawyer, and I do podcasting. I host on Unpopular Review for NXT and also the Challenge, and I just started a podcast called The Big Pop Theory with the amazing Bad Guy Jack. So that's where I come from.
Well, hey, my name is Stephanie Hardy. I'm the host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, which is a podcast that's centered on all of the beautiful things about professional wrestling, all of its stories, interviews, and so many other different arenas of wrestling, like recaps and stuff. And I'm also a color commentator specifically for the Belladonna division, which is the first women's all women's promotion in Gaston, Alabama. And I am also a host for Women's Wrestling Talk and an interviewer for Women's Wrestling Talk. And actually a writer for Women's Wrestling Talk as well, which is the number one women's wrestling show on the planet. And I am from Birmingham, Alabama.
So I was going to go directly under. And hi, I'm Chantiese. I'm co-host, co-creator of Toka Champions. I don't know what my position is with Black Girl Magic, so I'm gonna say event coordinator. Titles change, but I think that's like the gist of it. I have my hand in a little bit of everything. I'm like, that, but that's the main two. And again, I'm Hearts. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm all over the place. Sorry.
And hello all, my name is Karen Renee, also known as Karen Bam Bam, also known as the conductor and such. I've been wrestling professionally since 2019. I've been all over the United States, been just working on building a personal brand and trying to take the free agent aspect of wrestling as far as possible and travel as much as I can.
Hi, everybody. I am Keeks. I am the host of All Elite with Keeks, part of the Public Enemies podcast. I am also a color commentator in Texas, and I'm also part of Russell Rave in Houston, Texas. So, hi, everybody. Thank y'all for having me.
Super glad to have all you ladies here. And so my first question, we can go in the same order. Everybody introduce themselves. And so what was your moment where you became a wrestling fan? But also, so two-part question, what was the aha moment for you deciding to get into the wrestling industry?
All right. Well, I started watching wrestling because of my uncle, who I love dearly. And it just caught me off guard from the very first time that I started watching. I watched WCW more, so Sting was one of those first people that was like, oh my God, he's so cool. Like, okay, it got me into it. And then I saw Shawn Michaels, and I was really, really sold. So I would say my aha moment was when I finally discovered Shawn Michaels, honestly. His work, thank you, sir. That's it.
Well, I will say that I got into wrestling from watching WCW as well with my father. He was a big wrestling fan. And then also before that, my grandmother, his mother, was a big wrestling fan. She loved people like Ric Flair, and she would sneak out of church services on Sunday to go see wrestling shows at the Boutwell Auditorium in downtown Birmingham. So from there was her, and then it was my dad, and then it was me. And he used to tape WCW back to back with WWF during the Monday Night Wars. And of course, I was 4 years old. I had no clue what was going on. So I was just watching what was on TV. And the first match I saw was Goldberg versus the man formerly known as Hulk Hogan to me. And it was for the WCW World Championship at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And I just asked Dad, like, who are these two men and what are they doing? And he said they're wrestling, and that's Goldberg and that's Hulk Hogan. And I was like, okay. And I sat and watched it, and I've basically been hooked ever since in terms of that. Now, what I will say is what started me to want to work in the wrestling business was when I started my wrestling podcast, the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on a whim. I was just like, maybe, I should speak out on things that I love in wrestling by doing a podcast, because once I was with a Facebook group that talked about it but never really did it. So once I decided to move forward and do it after asking multiple people to co-host it with me and they all said no, I had to just go forth and trust myself, and I started the show. And from there, it's had over 100 episodes, and it basically triggered all of the wrestling success that I've had professionally since then in the span of 2 years. And it's crazy, but that's basically how it all started for me.
So for me, I got into wrestling because of my older brother. And my father is a big horror movie guy. So my two main loves are horror movies and wrestling. And I used to get terrified watching horror movies with him. And then my mother would yell, "Go get your dumbass sister who's watching scary movies." And then my brother would take me downstairs and we would watch wrestling. So to break the scare of watching Freddy, I would watch Jeff Jarrett and Shawn Michaels in the New Generation era of wrestling. That turned into me loving what I love. And of course, multiple people knows WCW and so on and so forth. I actually got into it because I was asked to do a podcast where I met Katrina. And then from there, I met my boyfriend / wrestler, true king of R&B, Stan Michaels. He'll kill me if I don't say the whole thing. And we started doing Talk of Champions. And we've been falling up since. Talk of Champions got him into being a wrestler, which got me around wrestling and wrestlers, which tripped me up into actually helping with Black Girl Magic.
Yeah. So as far as me getting into wrestling is similar. My older brother got me into wrestling as well. And I spent most of my childhood fighting with him, jumping off of the bunk beds, and all kind of craziness. Getting into it as a pro was just really intuitive for me. It just kind of came into my mind as like I was watching SummerSlam at the Barclays Center, and I just felt like it was something that I needed to explore. And I did my research, found Johnny Roz, a old school wrestler from the WWE, and it just felt right. Put my deposit down and started training, and I've just been like enraptured by it ever since.
Well, for me, as I expressed before, my mom's a huge Von Erichs fan, so it started off with her, and then eventually me. And I started at a young age. Of course, my favorite year is when I officially became a fan was '97, between WCW and WWF at the time. Because to me, still to this day, '97 was the best year in wrestling. So that definitely amplified me as a fan. And what got me into doing content or being part of the IWC and the content, the media part, is I just went for it. Something in my spirit just told me just go ahead and do it. Just just do it, and I did. So I'm here now, and the journey has been a journey. Some highs and some lows, but I'm gonna still keep going, and I keep my head up high, and I still keep it pushing.
Well, as for me, very similar. My grandma, big wrestling fan. Randy Savage was her guy. She liked that he talked a bunch of nonsense. That's exactly what she said. Like he just be getting like into the promos, and she loved that. And so I started watching it with her. And then it was like me, and my twin brother were watching, and then for the first time when I got to see Shawn Michaels, it was like, all right, well, I might have to watch a little bit more. might have to be back in there and see what's going on. So you guys are WCW fans. I definitely was not. I was a WWE girl to the end. I talked a lot of crap about WCW and their fans. I did to the friends who would listen to me in school. But yeah, that was like the Shawn Michaels and then Jeff Hardy, where it was not like excessive, where it was like, oh, okay, I have to watch everything he's on and have every magazine he's on, and like complain if my brother took studio tape out and used to record over VHSs and watch wrestling shows that with me. And so it kind of went from there. And as far as me getting into the wrestling industry, it was honestly just timing. 2020, as I tell people all the time, was a really bad year for me personally. And wrestling was the one thing I had left that kind of just was made me happy and it made me feel so sad about everything else. And so doing Unpopular Review kind of, and leaving Unpopular Review kind of got me literally doing my own thing. And so it sucked. The situation sucked, but me getting into this, if I never left, I would not be doing any of this. This happened because I
was trying to take you with you. He was trying to take
you. You guys definitely were trying to have me come.
Trying to break you out.
Loyalty first, try to be loyal, and that was, it. The show goes on, I guess, but me getting into doing my own interviews, and everybody was very fortunate who I spoke to, a wrestler who was like, listen, I know what I'm doing, but would you mind coming on a podcast with me? And then talking to Tay, got the Black Girl Magic situation, which got me into backstage correspondence and then women's wrestling talk, and so it kind of spiraled. And so for me, why I'm very grateful, and again, all of this is always like, wow, I did this in 2 years. That's my journey. So the next question, because it was mentioned by two, I believe, was, women of color, but we on this panel are Black women. And so, there's a struggle sometimes doing things in the world where you have to double work extra hard to kind of prove your worth, prove how good you are, even if you're better than like 90% of your peers. We have to be damn near perfect. And so what are some of your experience as women of color, Black women in the wrestling industry doing the jobs that you do?
So for me, I'm coming in a little bit, I'm still fresh in this. So I'm lucky enough that I came in when there was already some women kind of laying the field for me. So I would say it was a very supportive journey because, I've met a bunch of you amazing women and other amazing women like myself who were just so come here, just come here. Let me hold you and bring you with me and, nurture you. So I would say that I actually had a pretty, good experience so far. I will let you know if things change, hopefully not. And I'm just happy. I'm just happy to be, stepping into my power because wrestling is such a big part of who I am. And the fact that I get to, just express how I feel and find other like-minded people like myself and get it out to other people and find more people like myself, I'm just happy.
Well, I would say for me in the podcasting space, as a woman of color, I feel like one of the most challenging things I ever faced was when I actually when I was still figuring out how to create content and how to have this, personality that I had sort of built over the past couple of months in 2020 when I started my show. And then the George Floyd tragedy happened. And I had to figure out how I was going to address this, not only as a Black woman, but also as a content creator who's still trying to keep everything positive while at the same time addressing what's really going on in the world. And I was given advice by another woman of color in wrestling, Janelle from the HR of Jobbeteers podcast. She told me that you have to tell your story and tell your truth, and the right people will hear you and listen to your truth. And ever since then, once I was able to speak on it in my way and also address how many wrestlers of all promotions were addressing the issues, via podcasts or via their shows, it felt like I wasn't so alone, and I didn't feel like I was challenged in a way that made me feel like, okay, this is challenging, but I'm going to still do this because this is real and this is what's going on, and I can't not talk about it. Now, when it comes to certain issues like that, or even celebrating wrestlers, in terms of their Africanness. I have faced people who have come online, like trolls and stuff, who will say things like, "Oh, well, your opinion isn't important," or "No one should," or "You shouldn't say that," or "You should just focus on all wrestlers," and all of that. And I've even gone through issues of people who have been in the business, mostly male, who would undermine anything that I would say, or make it seem like I'm never going to go anywhere because I'm new and because I don't have as many followers as they do. And when it comes to that, I just, at first it would get to me, but now I've built up a strength enough in my and faith enough in myself to know that my voice is worthy of being put out there regardless of what negativity that people say, because people want to hear my voice, and I know I have a gift, and as long as I know I have a gift, then I'm going to continue to speak on issues that are important. Now, in terms of commentary, I haven't really had that issue because I'm still very much new to that. But I have gotten advice that wasn't necessarily warranted, but I still take it in stride and just proceed to move on. And then I have had people who told me, "Oh, well, you don't sound that great on commentary, or you suck on commentary." And I'm just like, you don't know the work that it actually takes to do it. So until you know what it takes and until you have actually done it yourself, you can't tell me anything. And as long as I know my voice has value, I'm going to keep using it.
Well, for me, it's been very up and down. As a wrestler, it's in the kind of vein of telling stories that comes from people's understanding, and not everybody truly understands, how to work with that Black girl magic. Like, the girls that get it, and those who don't, and a lot of people don't. And it can be really frustrating because one of you ladies mentioned earlier, sometimes you are working harder, you are accomplishing just as much and not getting the same credit. And it seems, disappointing. I've used some other Black women out in the indies, and I'm like, why are they not getting their respect? Why are they not getting their due? They're out here killing it. Out here, like, doing stuff no one else is doing, and it's just not getting the respect it deserves. But at the same time, a lot of beautiful things have happened as well. I'm not going to focus on the negative because that isn't fair to me and us to have to live in, that energy all the time. No, like, a lot of us are out here shining too, and that always makes me happy to see, and I try to focus on that despite all of the people who have tried it on my time. But we getting there one step at a time, and a lot of people are starting to finally get the respect they deserve, and every step forward is a step forward, and I look forward to seeing more.
I guess I'm next to Chantiese.
Listen,
For me, right. For me, it's been good times. It's been bad, but I've met some decent people, and I've met some lessons. Um, I can say it is rough. It's very challenging. It's hard, and it makes you want to give up at times. It's been times that I've wanted to give up because me being outspoken, it's harder on me because people want me to be a certain way, or they want me to say certain things, or they try different methods to silence me and the truth and what I have to say. But like she said, I'm not going to dwell too much on the negative, but the positive is, like I said, I've met some decent people, some great people. I've been blessed to be in different states, and I've been blessed to be at events. So it has its moments, but I am fortunate. I'm blessed, and I'm still, like I said, still be afloat with everything. But yeah, that's pretty much been my journey.
it's like it went from like positive to me. So it's been nothing but rewarding, but I had to fight for every reward. So every time I did something like Talk of Champions and we got big, I had to be an angry Black woman in one space. For every time we did a Black Girl Magic, I was told that it's a double niche and that it's not really gonna draw. So it's a lot of really high positives or really low negatives. And you have to find a way to keep you balanced in between. I'm still finding that because I relish in the negative. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun in the negative. But what I do in those moments is if someone tells me something, I use that to uplift another person. And I think besides Shay, every person on this panel with me, I've said, hey, go talk to this person. And put this somewhere. I didn't say go talk to this person with Bam Bam. Definitely said she's our main event. So I balance everything out with uplifting someone else. And I think I tend to do that when something going really bad, like right now, it's really ridiculous. It's really crazy with the nonsense. And pretty much I'm trying to be hushed because I have an opinion and so on and so forth. But I'm still taking that energy and making sure that the women I'm surrounded by, and it's so many of us doing amazing things, is uplifted and posted instead of dwelling in the negative. But it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. And I had a great experience within wrestling.
For me, it's it's been pretty. For the most part, it's been actually pretty solid. Like the beginning, it was a little questionable. I'm not gonna lie. That 2020 had people talking real reckless online, and there was too many things that were said that I was like angry about. Like, and I try not to get really angry. I think very few have probably seen me really upset, because then I get in a whole like thing, and then I'm disrespectful, and so, that was probably like it's usually the people online I've heard like some like negative things from, or like moments and situations where people take advantage of me trying to do something, or like what happened at New York where that people felt away about something that I was truly trying to like bring so many people as I could with me. And so it's those. It's like people you expect to be happy for you because you're happy for them who aren't happy for you. I feel like that's like the thing that I'm now getting a lot of. Now it's people who I've supported and went out of my way for, and whatever I've done, it's like, ooh, it's you, and let's be funny. And so that's the unfortunate side. But the good part is I literally have gotten so many opportunities because I started doing this. The interviews I've gotten, people recognizing me, which is a little odd, but recognizing me, or like, oh, I know who you are from this show. And I'm like, oh, thank you, awesome, that's cool. And making me be comfortable even being on camera, because I hate, even now, as I'm on the panel with you guys, I do not like public speaking, and I do not like being on camera. But Women's Wrestling Talk, TK, has definitely helped me get in, like, Katrina, you got this. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean, and let me be extra difficult about this. But then also, like I said, we got to be near Comic Con, and I feel like the more I like, say that, it's like this is a con I went to almost every year. Every year, sitting there in my wrestling t-shirts or in my anime stuff, like sitting there hyped, like I'm with a bunch of nerds like I am. So to be there on the other side of that, like going into a special entrance, because I did so special all weekend, I was like, oh, I'm in the special entrance, and I go down the line of all these other random people. So I felt good, not gonna lie, I did, and that for me was like, oh, I really did something here. And to hear people still saying, I heard the panel, you had some people on there, I love the posts, and that is like everything to me, that I was able to do that. And again, bring my girl. I'm just bringing my girls with me. I'm a believer in you bring your peoples with you. If you can get better, bring everybody you can with you. And so I'm just happy I was able to do that as well, and get you guys on, and just to be in the same space and share that with you guys. So that's the good part of wrestling. I think I had to sit a little bit with me for a bit because I was really stressed on Friday, as some of you was aware. But yeah, that's pretty much how it's been, I guess, for me in the wrestling space. So now my question for you guys is, what do you want, I guess, what are your current thoughts of the state with women of color in wrestling? And that's wrestling's on down to commentators, ring announcers, all that stuff. And then how do you feel it impacts your position in the wrestling industry?
All right. Well, for me, I just want to see the same opportunities, the same better storylines as well for Black women, but also just more opportunities in terms of like, why do all these women have these long, ridiculous title reigns, and then we have other ones? Bianca Belair, shout out to her, just got to 200. That's the first Black woman in WWE to get to that point, and that's just crazy to me. I'm like 200, like. But I just want to see more of that for our women, for people that look like me. And then I also just want to see more refs, more commentators. We still don't have a Black, female commentator in a lot of places. Like, we have it there, but like, we need to see more. Like, it shouldn't be like 20 white men and then the one like white woman. We need to have more Black women in everything, in every aspect, so that it makes me feel like I have a fighting chance. I want to be a part of it, but if I don't see anyone that looks like me, I'm not going to think that I have a shot. So that's what I want to see. I just want to see more growth.
Now, to speak to that, yes, Bianca Belair did reach a milestone on today, and I am so proud of her. And I'm also proud of the women who came before her and laid the foundation. But I also feel like a lot of those women had to go through a lot of mess in order to even lay that foundation. It makes me sad because a lot of the women in WWE and outside of WWE did so much and were so gifted, and they deserve so much more. So I really wish that there was so much more for them, but at least there is some progress in the fact that you see Black women and other women of color being able to be shown in dominant spaces. But to echo what Shay said, I do want to see more diversity of characters in terms of women. We are getting that, definitely, like even outside of WWE, like with WoW Superheroes or with so many different places like AEW or like Impact Wrestling and so many other different places. And even in the independents, we are getting like a smorgasbord of different characters of women of color. And I'm just so glad that that is happening. But what I want to see more of is more women of color in the intellectual space as commentators and also as writers. And outside of just being ring announcers and backstage interviewers. And those things do take a lot of intellect, and it takes a lot of, smarts in order to do those jobs. But at the very same time, when you make all of these announcements, for your promotions, and they're always men, and also men that just so happen to fit a certain aesthetic, it's just aggravating because I want to feel like a person like me can work up to a certain point and be able to qualify for that job because I know my stuff. Women know their stuff when it comes to wrestling. We know stats, we know facts, we know pop culture references, so we can make you laugh and tickle you a little bit while also giving you education, just like all the other male commentators too. So I feel like we need those opportunities to bring our voices out there. Like, we are more than just the athletes. We are the brains of the operations as well. We help run things. So if we have that knowledge as athletes, they need to trust us to be able to also run the show and also tell the stories, because we're animated. We can tell stories. So if we have those opportunities, if we get those opportunities, then the door will be open for everybody and it will be equal treatment for everyone as opposed to just a select few. So that's what I want.
As far as the in-ring aspect, honestly, I mean, things have really progressed tremendously, and we're at a point right now where you can't even front that Black women are not making up a very good chunk of the best wrestlers in the world, regardless of whether they're signed or unsigned. That's just actual and factual, and the more that things change, the more we're going to see these people who haven't gotten their due yet or who haven't been recognized coming into that space and getting their shine. For me personally, though, as I see that, I would like to deal with more women, and especially Black women backstage. I want to have more, Black women in the business aspect of it, because everything trickles down, and it's very difficult when there's no diversity at the top when you're dealing with certain people. And we're just, working under folks who aren't really understanding, how we connect, or like what we're capable of, or even, just having that perspective in general, is just so important. And, Black Girl Magic was a great start to that. And I want to see more of that, and especially, Let Wrestling Live is another Black woman run promotion as well in North Carolina. And I had to work with her. I was like, my sister, like, I gotta come work with you, because I respect that and I want to see more of that, and I want to do what I can to help you. So that's something that, I'm hoping to see more of.
To piggyback off of Shay, Stephanie, and Bam, I agree with all three of them, but for me, I want more darker shade Black women backstage as well. People need to know that Black comes in different shades, not just white passing. So stop hiring just white passing Black women. Black women comes in brown and also dark. I want to see more of that, because the colorism is still showing in wrestling as well. So they need to stop that. I want to see more darker shaded Black women, Black men in the back working commentary, or doing segments. More specifically, Black women of darker shade. They look just like me, look just like all of us. That's what I want to see more of.
So, wrestling right now, Black women just started to kick the door in. So now we see a lot of us flooding in. We have our Biancas, we have our Jades, we had our Brandy, who was, what was she, a CBO, She's a chief branding officer of the company. So we were starting to get that now, but it's still very surface. So now that they're starting to kick the door now, we need to kick it all the way the fuck down. We need all of us in every aspect, creative. We need them in the writing room. We need them at the top. We need them doing makeup and hair. We need them doing makeup and hair. I have to say it 4 more times. It's no reason why there aren't Black women doing Black women's makeup and hair in all of these companies. Ember Moon wore that orange wig for like 4 years. Sorry, braid. And we need it everywhere. We need it in every aspect. Once we start seeing that, then we'll start seeing better for Black women within these smaller promotions, within the bigger promotions. Now, we have Let Wrestle Live, right? That's what it was, because I was going to say Let Women Live, mixing it with Black Girl Magic. But we have that, and we have Black Girl Magic running. We need more Black women promoting. We need more Black women referees. The first year we had all Black women referees, and we couldn't get them back this year for Black Girl Magic. Black women on commentary, Black women interviewers. We need more of that. And that's just the behind the scenes and everything else of it. Because we have an abundance of Black women wrestlers, although they may not be seen, they're there. And there's more coming in these schools. There's Black women training every day to become wrestlers. So now we need them elsewhere. And eventually we'll get there, because it looks like the spark is starting. But I want a lot more Black women to know that you can do referee. You can do creative. You can promote a show. Trust me. It's a lot of these people out here that shouldn't be promoters promoting shows. So you can do it. We need a lot more out there, and I just can't wait to see that.
I felt like that said like really like great points. I feel like I would just add a little. Yeah, I'm glad Bianca hit her milestone. I revert back to the whole WrestleMania with her and Sasha and how that felt as a person who watched WrestleMania every year. And like it was like our Super Bowl. It was my Super Bowl because I don't really watch the Super Bowl like that, but that was my Super Bowl. You know, it was like we about to talk about crap to people that's at the party with us. We're gonna be like, oh, your wrestler's trash and all this other stuff. But it was barely get a woman on the show. But so to have two black women main eventing, one who got called very problematic because she doesn't really tolerate, Sasha doesn't really tolerate less than, and so she's problematic. And then you got somebody like Bianca who's super who she is. Long braid, gold hoops, unapologetically. I think that's something we need to see as well. And we got them main eventing of WrestleMania. And so for me as a fan, that was everything. We definitely do need some more commentators, and I say this because I've heard some clips of men commentators, and I'm not sure why the reference to the women is always a sexual, like a lot of. And this, let me clarify, it's not every male commentator, but some of these guys who've been doing it a really long time, I'm not understanding why it's a sexual reference to the woman wrestler. Why is it like, how did we go there where you can't see their skills? Now let's make a comment about the way they look or the gear or something. But the men, you can give all types of stats and facts with no issue. And so we definitely need more of that. I'm glad you mentioned the whole hair and makeup because that's something even like TV stars complain about, making all this money and they don't have one black person doing their hair and makeup and they have to do it themselves, which is insane to me. When you start making that much money, sis, give me at least a hairdresser. And I'm pretty low maintenance, but like for people who got to switch it up and want to make up and switch the wigs and whatever you do, they need to, have that ready for them. And the writing, I say all the time, if WWE is looking for one, hello. I will kindly get up in there and let's do some justice without the whole "you want my boyfriend" storyline. Ooh, your makeup is funny, which was my issue with one of those Women Wrestling Army episodes when I found out, like, why is this, how is this the issue? Like, you said something about my makeup and now we're beefing. Like, really, 5? That bothered me. And I was really kind of agitated by that, just because, why is it like two women of color fighting over makeup? How is that the beef of the story? And so clearly somebody needs to work on some writing. And so hello, I'm here if you need just one person. Like I can slap in and get some two sisters right and do us correctly. And then definitely even with the backstage interviewers, I'm one, but there's again not to knock any of the women who got there, not to knock Renee, not to knock Kathy, Kelly, but I also feel like questions could change depending on the race of the interviewer. You know what to ask, like how certain like phrase something a certain way, especially if it's part of a gimmick, and know how to phrase that. So not only are you making the gimmick stand for that wrestler, but you're also, connecting to the fans that's not just the white fans. And so I feel like that's the stuff we kind of need. I am glad we're seeing more black women wrestlers, and I'm hoping it's not still like outside of the two promotions that was mentioned already, where it's like you get that one black wrestler on the card or that one women match on the card, and it's like, okay, well, we got like all these pre-show matches. Can we add some more, something where it's not like a ridiculous match or like, and again, not to knock, but we all know, we all been to some indie shows. You kind of question, why is this on the card? I've done it a lot. As a fan, if I'm spending my money, why is this on the card and not like something I actually want to see? I want to see women wrestle. Women can, can kick some ass on there. And then the black women who are just absolutely fabulous. It's like, I think the Black Girl Magic this past year, how packed it was, how hyped everybody was. By the time we got to that main event, I feel like that can be done if people is not with the whole like, oh, but it only needs to happen once, or it's just only a certain demographic, because we are everywhere, always have been. Even if we don't, if you don't know we are, we're really everywhere. We are doing everything. We are the trendsetters. We are the reason why people do trends and people change clothes and all this other stuff. That's us. And so we're here already. Just let it be more visible. So that's what I want, not to go on a rant. So what is something that you want as a goal for yourself in your career?
All right. Well, I definitely want to continue growing my new podcast, which is the Big Pop Theory. That's something that's really important to me, just to kind of get my own individual voice, outside of Unpopular Review, which I love. I love Unpopular Review, obviously. And then also, I hope that leads to maybe interviewing. I've always been interested in that. And also, I love reviewing as well. And even some color commentary. That's things that I want to grow and see if I could, make it fit for me. I think I could, but, we're going to see.
Well, for me, I want my podcast to grow a whole lot more. It's under construction right now, and I want it to continue to evolve to be, the best show that it can be and be a safe space for wrestlers, podcasters, and everybody to come on and want to, talk about how they feel about wrestling and what got them into it and so many different things. I just want to continue to create a booming and always evolutionary safe space. I also want to continue growing as a writer, and a host and an interviewer as well, and definitely continue growing as a commentator because I enjoy it. Like, it is really electrifying to be next to people who are really good at play by play, but then you play with them a little bit and then tell the story of what's going on in the ring. That is so enjoyable. And I love getting to know the talent and taking care of the talent, such as Karen Bam Bam, like I did before this year, and also with so many other people as well. Like, it is such an enthralling experience. And if I can grow up in my professional life to become the first Black woman to commentate in WWE, then that's exactly what I am open to, because that's just what I want to do. And I feel like sometimes in life, when you sort of look around and you sort of wait for somebody to do something, you're just like, okay, when are they going to finally do this? When are they going to do this? When are they going to do that? Sometimes the person has to be you. And if it has to be me, or if it is destined to be me or purpose for it to be me, then I'm very open to that. If I'm meant to be an interviewer and talk to people, I'm open to that too, because I love people. I love talking. Um, so if I'm able to talk to people about wrestling and be an interviewer and possibly be the Tabitha Brown of wrestling, then that's fine too. Either way, I just want myself and my brand to grow and to be a safe space in wrestling, and to just continue to do that, because wrestling can be very prickly at times. So we need a soft place to land. And if I'm that soft place, then so be it.
Well, for me, my main focus is travel right now, expansion, growth. I'm really kind of just wanting to expand what it means to be a wrestler in my own way. I can't go too far into it because I'm still figuring out what that means to me, but I feel like there's so much opportunity out here right now to create a brand in a different way, and I want to expand and bring, what I do into the mainstream because, as far as or as much as people don't think or expect that a lot of fans will connect to me, they do. And, I want to kind of continue to be relatable despite what people may think because of my appearance, because of, me being Black, that people don't connect to me, and just take that from wrestling beyond to, many different avenues. And, maybe one day when the time is right, TV as well. But, I do wish to also see, being an independent wrestler become, a greater thing as well. Like, there's room for everyone to fucking eat. It don't have to just be, TV, or certain international places. Now we could all get a piece of the pie, in our own way.
Mine is to continue to grow as a podcaster, and also to continue to grow in Texas, in wrestling in Texas. But most importantly, as a podcaster, since my brand is a all elite based brand, I want to be also one of the ones that be in the same media rooms as the ones that's up there. I want to continue to show that you don't have to kiss nobody but to get to the same table. You can create your own table. So that's more of my focus, and I have other things in mind. I can't announce right now, but continue to grow. And like I say, 2023, y'all gonna know who Keeks is for real, for real.
So, as for me, I mentioned this on the New York Comic Con. I want to look into getting a wrestling promoter's license. So, it's very rare in New York for these promoters to have license, and we have to go through the hoops of using someone else's license. So, I want to be able to, along with helping whatever Black Girl Magic becomes, I also want it to use a Black woman's wrestling license. I also want to be able to run the show efficiently without having to reach out for someone else's license or reach out to figure out how do we do this underneath someone else. So that's that. I think I'm finally motivated. I finally got the bug to go back into doing shows. I think I wanna grow that brand or change or whatever we need to do to move forward with that. And over the weekend, I just had a conversation. So pretty much the seeds for Black Girl Magic 3, which is Karen Bam Bam versus Faye Jackson in the main event, has been planted. So hopefully by the summer we have something fully in bloom for everyone to enjoy.
Heard it here first.
I feel like I'm doing way too much. Like that's so it's a little crazy because I'm now getting back into my book stuff, and so that's starting to become like, oh my god, this is what I stopped doing before, and so now that in wrestling, it's becoming a bit of a hassle. But honestly, just I want us to be everywhere, and I know that sounds like I'm joking, but I'm so serious. I want us to be like, oh, I know who they are. We those girls, like we them, okay? Megan's her song, I wouldn't be all that. Doja's boss bitch, that's us, like we all that. Okay, I want us to be everywhere. I want us to like I feel like I can list all the things I want, but it's like just once I get more comfortable with feeling confident in what I do, I feel like I can do more other stuff. I'm always really nervous, and I'm like my harshest critic, and so I'm like, oh, I hate my voice. I can't do podcasting. I can't do interviews. But so far, so good. It hasn't been too much of an issue with anybody like Katrina. Oh, what's this? And so, just more confidence to accept that I am doing great things. I feel like that's my biggest thing is I do talk myself out of stuff a lot, and I really like I will support everybody else, and then me, I'm like, well, you could have done this better, or you could have been this, or this is not that great. And so I think that's my biggest goal is kind of having more confidence in my stuff and the stuff that I'm trying to do. I would love to be in WWE to write. I would do a backstage interview. There's a few people I think I can actually make it, like, because I'm sarcastic anyway, and so it'll work. I have my thoughts about Mr. Khan, but if he knew how to do the women correctly, I can fly up in there and be like, bro, do you need me to interview these women and, not having all the Black women? And like, I'm okay with the baddies, but also I'm not fond of everybody always having the Black clique. I like that. I hate that in wrestling in general. It's like, why do Black people gotta always be together all the time? That drives me insane. And so just like more confidence in the stuff I'm doing in world domination. I want us, like I said, everywhere. Okay, I'm about to have us in like career or something. That was totally a joke, but you never know. I just actually saying like I would love to see us everywhere.
I'm gonna email next weekend.
That would be crazy. I can't even deal with that right now. But just us all being able to do the things that we like, and I feel like all of us. I feel like we all kind of struggled with like worrying about our place here in wrestling, and if we belong, and if this is for us, and we all had those days. But we there's a place for us because look at us, so I want us just there, like thriving and being happy what we're doing, no matter how big, how small, whatever it is. New podcast episode, we did that. You got a show, you went to a show, you main event it, we did that. You opened the match and set the bar, well, you did that. Like whatever it may be, that's what I want. I feel like that's my biggest thing. we need that. There's too many weirdness in wrestling, and I see it a lot, especially on Twitter. So it's nonsense going on, and I'm just like, well, I got my girls. I got my girls. We're good. You know, they're going to be in the drama all the time, and it is what it is. And those who belong in the space will fall in the way they're supposed to. So, yeah. So to the UK, thank you so much. This is like super like insane that we're even here digitally, but we're here nonetheless. And so UK, thank you for having us. And you got some New Yorkers and Texan and somebody from Alabama here all the way up in here and across the seas to talk to you guys about women's color wrestling. So thank you so much for that. And until next time, guys.